Spoke on the
Oh,
phone.
your lease.
Yes.
Who's the other thing? You have your ears?
Okay, we got what?
Or eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Good morning, Dave. End of the hour.
So were we, Debbie, were we able to get the
Notice
recording
posted?
set up?
Yes.
Okay.
Want me to do roll call, sir? Are
Pardon?
you ready for roll call?
Yeah, we got a minute.
Okay.
Looks like. Everybody's here.
Yeah, everybody's on here. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
She's sitting in a comfy chair.
Yes.
We don't have a flag. No, we don't.
Okay, I guess I'll call the meeting to order, 10 o'clock. Debbie, go ahead and do roll call.
Paula DePace,
I'm here.
Donna Mosier,
Here.
Eileen Dunn,
Here.
Susan Muniak,
Here.
Here.
Lemay Knifer,
Here.
Ed Wayner.
Here. Okay, and Jack, meeting posted?
Posted in proper time, right?
All right, great. Okay, this is a special meeting. It was called because we kind of left Lisa out of the loop when we had our last meeting, when we discussed the Driftwood violations. And so we wanted to bring her in and give her the opportunity to, explain what she's doing there and sort of make her feel that, hey, we're all in this together, that this is not seniors against family members or anything like that. So we'll start out with, you want to just give a little presentation?
I have several things that I want to say to address the comments at the meeting as well.
Okay,
I
great.
want to take an opportunity to thank Ed, Paula, LeMay, and Eileen, and Bill for taking the time to return my calls. It was a pleasure to get to know each of you. Excuse me. I'm here to represent the Driftwood committee. The last comment made at the March 19th meeting needs to be addressed before we can go any further. Driftwood will fight us on everything, someone said. I don't know who said that. The statement reflects the attitude from some TSCA members, which is why we are here today. Let me be clear, Driftwood has been known as the bastard child of Timber Oaks for the last 34 years. I've lived here, and we need to change that. The committee is not here to fight anyone. We have been told we're part of Timber Oaks. Yet here we are today defending a group of hardworking volunteers who are diligently working to improve our neighborhood. We have a long way to go, but we live there, so we want it to be better too. The only thing we continue to fight for is respect and to be treated as capable adults, not children who need to be chastised and controlled at the whim of a few dishonest board members. I have documentation that rebukes all the lies that were meeting was all the lies that were fed on the March 19th meeting. Sadly, the committee was betrayed by the two people who were supposed to be acting on our behalf. Jack, our property manager, and Jennifer Joy Smiley, the director of Driftwood Village. On March 11th, 24, I sent Jennifer an email congratulating her for her new position as director. In that very first email, Jennifer was notified and was told in writing that there were 700 resolved violations to date. There was no comment from her for a month. There was some issue with her receiving the email, and that happens. On April 13th, I received the first email from Jennifer requesting to meet in person to discuss the following things: filling the committee, which she stated had only 2 members. In reality, we had 6, and at the last moment, 3 moved away, so that brought us down to 3. And Jennifer quickly reminded me that she was on the committee, so that made us 4. Letters to the homeowner, which I've supplied all of you with the copies of the newsletters that we send out every year. She asked about the Driftwood account, which I explained was in interest-bearing CD, which could not be touched by anyone, which was a good idea. And I'm sure she knew that, but she asked anyway, so I responded. And the last comment was she wanted us to get organized. Well, I think by providing responses, we have a pretty good chance of showing that we're organized. On 4/14, I responded in detail, answering all questions. There were a total of 3 newsletters, which I provided for you. And in this email, Jennifer was once again given a new update of 717 resolved violations and 37 open violations. The Driftwood account, as I explained. Okay, it seems to me that that from the start, I was more than willing to communicate. If I'm nothing, I would communicate. And work with her, while at the same time presenting a strong case of the organizational ability of the well-established functioning committee. I repeatedly reminded her that we all work full-time jobs, children, and homes to maintain, making it very difficult to hold personal meetings. However, we would continue with group emails addressing all of the questions and concerns. And again, on May 16, 24, Jennifer reminded me that she was also on the committee, and once again, it was 3 + 1, a total of 4. On June 29th, the following text message was sent to Tina, and she'll be on her way here today, the other committee member. And in this text message from Jennifer, she questioned our ability to have time to draft a newsletter, but not have time to meet. Well, it was a little rough when she said that, and Tina was very offended, and so was I. And that was the last time, well, I want to back up and say it's not her job description to tell us how we moderate or regulate our time. We balance our own schedules. This was the last time we heard from Jennifer. The committee was not told about the Halloween event planning. I heard about it from Ed LeMay when I was meeting with Jack to pick up the newsletters. These traits do not affect the qualities of a director as devoted to her job as Barry was for many years, in spite of his health issues. Fast forward to 21/25. I received an email from Darlene. Quote, Jack wanted me to let you know that we received a phone call this weekend, or this morning, about an offensive flag at 10930 Water Oak. Jack went out to check it out, and we both agreed it was in violation of the deed restrictions. A violation was sent. Not only was this black flag offensive, it was also anti-American since it represents anarchy. At this time, the committee appreciates the violation was sent to Jennifer Smiley's home, and shortly after it was removed. At this time, the committee appreciates Jennifer's resignation. When the director of the committee can't personally follow the same rules as everyone else, she has no business being a director. The committee nor TSCA should be associated with the likes of a person who has no respect for our great nation. I have a picture of the violation if you want to see that. On September 25th, 23, I emailed a letter of introduction of the history of the committee since 2020. In that email, this was sent to Jack. I also provided Jack with the total resolved violations to date, and at that point, it was 656. he would leave the Driftwood violations in capable hands, and I quote, "For the last 18 months, Jack has received over 35 emails with all the new resolved totals, all the outstanding and all the resolved." Fast forward February 25, 25. When Jennifer resigned, Jack suddenly feels the need to contact the attorney, who believes the committee is no longer viable. So roughly 351 days we were viable, having 4, and then 14 days were not viable due to Jennifer's resignation. Something's wrong with this picture. Looks like Jack has had some negative influence. Rules versus results. That should never be. I wonder if the attorney knows about the ongoing success and feud between Jen and the committee. I had a hard time finding the ruling that in the settlement that you were supposed to go around and check if we didn't have enough people. I didn't find that. Maybe it's in there, I just didn't find it. On March 3rd, 25, Jack received an update of resolved totals. 895. Yet at the March 19th meeting, he sat silent while Sue spread enough lies to cause one of the board members to change her vote against the committee. Does the board have room for a member who refuses to tell the truth when all the facts have been revealed? By the way, Debbie can provide checks authorizing reimbursement payments to me for ink cartridges that I purchased, and the checks were signed by Sue Muniak for deed restriction letters. So if we weren't doing anything, why would she reimburse me for ink cartridges for the last several years? It's your call, fact or fiction, on behalf of Sue Muniak. My last letter here or statement here is addressing the board meeting. I will attempt to address all the disrespectful, false, and condescending comments directed at the Driftwood committee. That woman, as I was referred to, has a name. It's Lisa Martino, and I am the driving force behind the committee since 2020. I can verify with documentation that I was officially elected in the 2020 election. I have it here. I have it, but that's okay. The committee does indeed exist, and we are working well, contrary to what was heard at the meeting. We don't need any training. And it was clear to me that many of you don't even know how the process works, but that's another story. The definition of viable is capable of success, effective, and able to exist as intended. This word defines the Driftwood committee perfectly. We have an average of 227 violations per year. To date, we have 905. And we have a long way to go. It's not a perfect community. I live there and I would like to see improvements, and so would everyone else on the committee. We can only work within the guidelines that we've been given. We are a team. While the players have changed, their coach possesses a pitbull tenacity. With 4 years on the job training and experience, believing failure is not an option. The March 19th meeting clearly revealed that many of you have no idea how the process works. We can discuss that later. I was trained by Barry Burgess. Unlike Jennifer, he cared about Driftwood and the committee as it evolved. The committee has indeed met with several BOD members in the past. And with scheduling considerations, we are happy to do that in the future. I have provided an email in your pack from Beverly dated 9/17/21. She was very happy with our progress, and we just continued working. Had we been properly notified, we were on the agenda, we would not be here today. The committee consists of working families with full-time jobs, children, and homes to maintain, which is why the meetings are near impossible to coordinate. We believe providing the BOD and the management with regular updated new resolved totals should satisfy the requirements of the meeting, getting all the facts. The committee did not shut Jennifer out. She bailed out without warning, to give us time to fill her seat and avoid all this drama. Jennifer never informed the committee of a Halloween event. Clearly not a very impressive quality of the director. Contrary to the belief that Tusker holds, Driftwood is not a crime-ridden, violent den of thieves and thugs. Guns are not required to be on the committee. However, the committee has learned to use discretion when taking photos of homes. We often have to circle back to avoid being seen by curious neighbors and homeowners. We're putting our safety on the line, so we try and remain as anonymous and as inconspicuous as possible. We all know what needs to be done and have been successfully doing it for 4 years. So please stop harassing us once and for all. We want to work together. But if you're going to be on our back, that makes it different. We have a new volunteer who I've been forbidden to contact until we're official. When she does come on the committee, we will provide her with the proper training and we will welcome her into the fold. Thanks to the hard work and dedication of Tina and Eric, we now have a wait list of potential candidates to fill any vacancies on the committee in the future. Another absurd accusation is that the committee does not send violations to renters. We don't know who rents and who owns. We just send violations out to things that we see. Equally as absurd, we ignore homes in clear violation. Give me a break. We want our neighborhood to be improved too. Why would we ignore things? We don't pick and choose violations. Every violation is written without bias or hesitation, according to our guidelines. There are many homes that go on to fining, and liens have been placed on their property until satisfied or the property is sold. Many of these people that have had violations and liens on their property continue with the same violation, and we're not given the tools to say, hey, look, you were told to fix it and you didn't. So they leave it that way until they sell the property. That's not acceptable. We have a particular home on Woodcrest. Unfortunately, the homeowner had received so many violations, capped out at $5,000. There was clearly something wrong with this man, and I pray for his family. He blew his brains out because of violations, and I'm sure other issues. Now, when Jack and Linda went around, they sent 3 pictures of that. Well, when we learned of this tragedy, the son, that was the only normal one in the family, came to the office and said he would do his best to fix the properties and take care of all the liens, but he works all week, so it has to be done on weekends. So everyone agreed, give him a chance to do that. Don't send any more violations. He's working on it. He's aware of the problem. And yeah, it's a mess. Many of the homeowners request extensions in order to comply. You're talking about people that are on sometimes fixed income or have families, and they're struggling. We need to be compassionate, not rule with iron fist. The committee is always glad to work with the individuals because they're our neighbors. To Tusker, that's just a house, a violation. To us, they're our neighbors. We care about them. Some of them we know, some of them we don't know. The timing of the violation sent by Linda and Jack will cause a whirlwind of phone calls when they received. I hope Jack is prepared to respond, as the committee has done for the last 4 years, with a personal email within 24 hours. In conclusion, I am one of the few homeowners remaining that lived through the lawsuit days. None of us want to go through that again. We believe the majority of the board have common sense and integrity to see the outstanding job the committee has done and reject the unverified, fabricated accusations made by Sue Muniak. At the end of the day, will this board put rules of the 11th hour of this committee over the results it has clearly documented?
Okay, I just want to say one thing before anybody else. as a county. We are all one community. It's not us versus Driftwood. We're all hospitals. Timber Oaks. And it shouldn't be that there's a war going on between residents 55 plus and the family residents. We all want everything to look good. And some of the problems you discussed, we have them here too, with people that don't take care of their property and they have issues, and we try to work with them.
Mhm.
And anybody that gets a letter and comes to the office, Darlene will work with them and say, you know, we'll give you an extended period of time to work it out or whatever.
We have always done.
We've always done that. And that should be the same.
Absolutely.
We don't want people, you know, you see some of these things on television or whatever about homeowners associations and how bad they are. And we don't want that. It should, purpose of a homeowners association is to make the community look good. It helps everyone in it because our property values are worth more. People want to live here. You know, people want to come into our community. And that's one of the reasons we try to keep the cost of our dues low and everything else. So, I mean, it shouldn't be us versus them, I want to say, because we're all in this
I
together.
appreciate that.
Amen?
You said you have a new person on your committee
Yes,
and you were forbidden.
to contact her until it's official.
I'd like to correct that statement. Valerie, what's her name?
Holland, I think.
Okay. I believe if you look back at my email,
Mhm.
I just said she can't, I didn't forbid you from speaking to her. I just said she can't do committee work.
Well,
until
that
she's
wasn't,
elected.
that wasn't the question. The point was I was trying to send her, as I sent you and Jennifer, a letter of welcoming her to the committee and contact her. I was not allowed to get her email or her phone number
All,
till it was official.
all I
That's
said
what
to
it
you
says.
was, all I said to you, if you pull the email back up, is that she can't do committee work until once the annual meeting.
You wouldn't give me her phone number, Jack.
I don't even recall you asking for the phone number.
It's, ask Debbie. I sent Debbie the request and then she sent it to you. I have, the email is on file. But that's neither here nor there. We just want to all work together.
I think the biggest thing here is communication,
Mhm.
and that has not been done. In the 4 years I've been here, we've barely talked. And I think that has to
Verbal
be,
communication, yes, I agree.
because the biggest problem is, for me, is I have no idea what's going on. I had no idea you had 6 people on the committee.
I know.
Jennifer, wait. So, that needs to be shared, because in all honesty,
Mhm.
we don't want to take over Driftwood. We don't want to do the violations in Driftwood. I noticed on Tuesday when we went through letters, and a lot of them were Driftwood ones that you had sent in. But apparently one was going out and you said, we have dealt with this person, you knew the background, which is what we know about what goes on here.
Mhm.
We don't know that.
Right, exactly.
And you do, which is why, your committee is viable over there and necessary, in my opinion.
Well, don't you agree that the representation of the director and the property manager should have conferred that information to you at the meeting that we have been in contact? Now, I've made a change. I have sent each and every one of you a copy of the new revised totals, and I will continue to do that with the new board. So there won't be that communication gap anymore. Should Jack forget or misplace something or just not remember it, you're gonna know.
Yes,
If we had a director that was acting on our behalf, you would have known that on Wednesday, but nothing was said. And these are the list of the emails that I send with all of the revised totals.
yes.
I communicate. I am a communicator, and if anyone calls me and has a question, I have no problem chatting with them or emailing. But this behind the back, standing in the back stuff is the problem.
Right, you need that communication.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay. You've accused me of being against Driftwood. Honestly, Lisa, I'm not. You remember when you first got on the committee?
And I have that letter, I have that email.
When you first got on the committee, I was very happy to see a change in Driftwood director at that time when it became Barry,
Right.
because the previous Driftwood director was not easy to work
Who
with.
was that? I don't know who that was. Robert Lecter, okay, gotcha, okay,
Right.
Lecter.
Okay. The Driftwood committee is not a normal committee of the board. The Driftwood committee was set into place
Mhm.
by the legal documents,
Right.
if you read, and I believe you have a copy of it, of our covenants,
Mhm.
the Driftwood committee, consisting of 6 Driftwood members, will be elected annually. It's right in front of you is a copy of the,
I was elected.
I'm not debating whether you're on the committee. Lisa, I'm not debating.
Okay.
I know you're on the committee.
Okay, I was elected. That's the point I'm trying to make. I was
You
elected.
were elected.
Yes.
But all 6 members have to, excuse me, let me finish
Mhm.
before you
Oh, yes,
interrupt.
I'm listening.
She didn't interrupt you.
I agree.
Don't interrupt.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, the way the rules work, these are the rules we're supposed to follow. The Driftwood committee members will be elected annually by the Driftwood members to advise the board with regard to problems and issues unique to the Driftwood members. The Driftwood committee, which would be these 6 elected, by majority vote, shall make recommendations to the board regarding enforcement of lot use restrictions. So you can go, your committee is charged with going and looking for deed restrictions according to what is in our covenants, which you have been doing, but the committee hasn't been doing it as a whole because you haven't. We just found out when we were looking what happens when the Driftwood director resigned. How do we fill a Driftwood director position? That's why everyone in Driftwood got a letter saying that we needed to find someone is there anyone willing to volunteer to be the director? No one has volunteered. Until someone volunteers or until the next election, there will be no Driftwood director because no one has volunteered. If someone from Driftwood were to volunteer to be the Driftwood director, we would have a director. As far as the committee, unfortunately, in the paragraph that's in our covenants, there's no way to replace members on your committee. The attorney said that a committee that doesn't have a maximum of a majority of its members is not a viable committee. But also in this, the board may refer a possible use restriction violation to the Driftwood, to the Driftwood
Right.
committee. If our board and your board were to disagree whether that was a violation, there needs to be a meeting of
A
both.
violation or an appointment?
No, appointment, there is no way to appoint another member to the committee.
But there is for a director.
For a director, yes.
Right.
For the director, this board can appoint someone who were to volunteer. Okay?
Mhm.
Or if 3 people from Driftwood volunteered, this board would decide which of the 3 would be on this board
As a director.
as director. For the committee, there is no way on here to appoint other members to the committee.
May I address that?
Let me
We're done.
finish,
Okay,
let me
we're done.
finish
Okay,
as
we're
I was
done.
going on. But what I'm saying is, we have no, when you send, and I am not saying you're not sending violations. I am not saying that, and I'm not saying that they're not valid violations. That is not what the intent at all. What I'm saying is we have to get back to following the rules the way it is. In other words, if your committee, I don't care how the Driftwood committee meets, but if it meets, whether you have a phone conference with all of you, that you go through any violations that your committee finds, you need to report to the board that these are the violations, just like you're doing, but that it was voted on by the committee by a vote of how much and who voted. Just so that we know that your committee, that it is not one person doing the violations. We don't want one person doing it. That's why we changed from having village reps to having an outside person do it. And there's nothing to prevent us as a board, if we were to feel that something's not right, having the manager or the violations person going through. If your committee is a functioning committee, if Jack were to go through and find 12 violations, those 12 violations would first go to the Driftwood committee for you to agree or disagree, and then the mediation process if you disagree with the ones that he were to find. And as far as carrying through on the violations, once a violation is in the system, it goes through our system. You're not involved again. You do not do the negotiating with
Absolutely.
I mean, if you know of a circumstance like you were saying of the one house, fine, let us know, we didn't do this to this house is this, our board said no because the person is,
I have a question.
go ahead.
If a homeowner emails the office,
Mhm.
and that email is forwarded to the committee, and the committee responds, so do you want all of these emails for the board, all of these personal complaints from
The
trust me, you don't want to do that.
The personal complaint was gotten fine, go to the office.
Right,
And the office handles it from
to me.
the
The office has been sending me personal emails from various people who has become famous, notorious Nicole. We have many others. I am sent the email and I am told, can you speak to this homeowner in reference to that violation? And I've done that.
That shouldn't
Well,
be
that's the
done.
way it's been done all along. And then we
Yeah.
discuss the violation with the homeowner.
Yes, because my first conversation when I got here with Lisa was that she was very adamant that the committee handles the violations over there. That's what I told her. I said, I will leave it in your capable hands. So when I do receive a complaint or information from a Driftwood resident, I do forward it to Lisa.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't
It
be
should
that.
follow, once a violation has been determined, it should follow the same as any other TSCA person. I mean, if we're going to, Driftwood is not special.
No,
It's-
but
it's-
when
it's-
we have a violation, sorry to interrupt. but
Sure.
When we have a violation and a person contacts the office, we give them, we work with them. And it doesn't have to go to the whole board. Darlene does it. And I think Lisa doing it
I
is,
think that's over management on our part. I don't think we all need to do that.
If you had
It could
any
be a very-
idea.
It could be a very simple thing, and Lisa knows history and background on it. The committee should be handling it, not us. Is that somewhere in here that you're saying?
What
it has to
I
go
am
to us?
saying,
need another 30 days, give them another 30 days.
we do.
Right.
We've done that all along with whoever. But if Driftwood is, now I'm talking to us. If Driftwood is part of TOTS, if we're part, which is what we want it to be, just like San Clemente, which is another family village is part of Topsa. The only thing that should be different is the notification of the violation. Once something has been notified, truly found as a violation, it should go to the Topsa board. The Topsa umbrella should take care of it.
Administration.
The administration should administer
No, I don't.
all the fines for anyone.
I don't agree with
If
that.
you had any idea how many irate homeowners have submitted
know.
emails, and we have been in a dialogue with them back and forth trying to diffuse the problem. If you want to do that,
No.
have at it. You will not be happy with having to respond to this number of emails.
Can I make a suggestion, please?
Yeah.
After talking with Darlene, Lisa sends, the list of violations. Darlene has to manually go into the computer and create the letter. Lisa, if you were to send a list of violations like you did, we can send Linda out with her tablet, snap it, hits a couple of keys, the letter is automatically populated and filled out with the violation. And it makes it a lot faster and a lot easier on the office personnel to do it that way. You're still in control of the violation. You send us the list.
I don't send a list, I send a picture and the violation.
Well, that's unnecessary. You can just
Well,
send them.
how, then there's no way for me to keep track of everything. If everything is given to Linda,
Okay.
I have no way of keeping track when it's time to go out.
Can I finish, please? Darlene said she would, after creating the letters, would send you copies of those letters with the photographs taken. So you would have all that information on your hands. But we're saying you're still in control. It's just easier inputting it into our system and creating the letters, which you will be copied on.
May I respond to that?
Sure.
I spoke to the committee and they are opposed to that idea. Giving Linda the opportunity to take that chunk of our responsibility is an open door. And we feel that if we're going to police our community, then that needs to be something, it will lead to more confusion. It may be easier at one end, but it will lead to a lot of confusion. If the wrong house photo is taken, I've been doing it, so I know how things can easily get confused, and it happens.
We work right off the list that you gave us, just like when Linda and I went in the other day. We worked right off your list. We went to those residents. If the violation had already been addressed, we stated so. And if it was still in existence, we took a picture, produced it, where it came through the Vantica system, automatically populated, and the letter was created. Darlene didn't have to manually put all that in.
Can I jump in here 1 minute? This has to do with office and the way it's handled there. It has nothing to do with the questions and what we want here. I don't want to go off on this tangent. This is their committee. Let's figure out what we're doing here and the problems we've had. If you want to talk about, having Darlene print them out or Lisa sending whatever, we'll do that. But for now, let's deal with the main problems that we're having, not with how it's printed out.
Okay.
Thank you.
You could give her the thing and do it that way, and then it would go in, right? The thing that Linda uses.
Tablet,
The
There's a
tablet.
tablet,
that would be easy for us too.
Yeah.
Is it ours?
no, it's resources.
Okay, it's ours.
Can
Basically.
Driftwood
I mean,
purchase
if
one
Linda
on
can
their
use
own?
it, then Driftwood could use it.
Or we could,
And if they
we
do it
could
a
get them
different day.
one. We could get them the tablet. and
Yeah,
that
they're
would
not
work.
that expensive.
I'm not a board member, but I'm sitting here listening to all this, which I didn't know about. But you said you don't want to treat them differently. So do you have all the developments within Timber Oaks doing it that way? Or do all the other developments adhere by the
No,
process? So,
they have a separate, due to a lawsuit that happened before my time. And I've been here since 2012. That's how this committee was set up
Right.
as a result of the lawsuit. So they have certain
rights. Legal rights.
Responsibility.
separation from us.
Yeah.
It's whether we can get a tablet for Lisa or not. If Lisa is the one, or the
The
committee,
committee,
the committee finds the addresses. Whether they give it to Jack or Linda to go and take pictures of that address, it's still the committee that would be recommending those. But the thing with it, and you would get all the documentation, and they would be credited to the committee as being that. But the thing is, going past that, but it's still the board's prerogative. And I say board, but it's the management company or whatever, to go in and also do. We have that right. Once the committee is set after this election, when you will have 6 elected committee members, we would have to go to you for the mediation. The only reason we wanted Jack to go through before is there are some violations that we wanted to make it easier for the committee to start with a full committee. We just want to be able to follow what it says in here. We want you to be, and as far as like the Halloween party, there was a notice put on every door in Driftwood about that Halloween party. I know I was driving people around to bring them and put it on every single door in Driftwood. We did that. I mean, there were 3 of us or 4 of us that did it. We want, just as San Clemente is part of us, we want Driftwood to be part of us, to realize that they are part of us. We're not trying to isolate you. We're not trying to say that you're different. You're not. And I know, and I'm sure Jennifer would like to speak, but
may I just comment on something you said? Where's my train of thought? The notices that went out to all the homeowners are kind of similar to the fact that the committee wasn't notified of, we were going to be on the agenda. Jennifer never came to us and said, hey, I'd like to do this, what do you think? I mean, that's what a director, I've communicated with her. She doesn't want to communicate with me unless we have these meetings. And she's fixated on having meetings. It's not about the physical meetings, it's about the communication and the sharing of information. And that's my biggest complaint with Jennifer. She didn't share any information. She had to have her meetings. Okay, we sent her every notification. You said in the meeting, you said that we are non-viable. We're not non-existent. Lisa picks and chooses. Lisa doesn't pick and choose. Lisa has a committee that she goes around with. And we look and we see, and maybe that person will go around by themselves or look around collectively. You lied to the board and told them that we didn't exist and we're not doing anything. Come on.
According to the attorney, the committee was not viable because you didn't have.
For 14 days, for 14 days.
No.
Jennifer told me she was on the committee.
She was, she
Okay,
is.
so that made 4. That made us viable.
No, who
Yes.
are the 4 elected people?
They couldn't be elected, they rolled over because there weren't enough people, to have an election. Thank you. I am just getting frustrated.
No, that was my question too. Were there ever more than 6 people who wanted to be on that
No.
committee? Then an election is not necessary. It's the same with the board. If you come up and only 3 people are in and there's 3 open seats, those 3 are automatically in.
But they are technically elected because in legally what happens is the secretary puts 1 vote in for them.
Well, that,
It has to go through the election process.
this doesn't make sense. It doesn't fill the problem, because like Lisa said, you have people moving in and out. People come in, if you have we've got 6 people that are going to be elected in this next election.
Right?
Now, if they move away, then the committee becomes inviolable until the next election? That doesn't make sense. You always should have the opportunity to appoint someone for the remainder of the.
I would love to do that, but I am just going by what do you do? This is what it says. There was nothing in the lawsuit, nothing in our documents that say.
Well, you gotta use some common sense. Just
Well,
like when our board has someone that resigns, we can appoint someone to fill that position until the next election.
Right.
So if they have a person that resigns from the, they should make a recommendation, appoint someone to fill that position. And then come to us, we verify. That's simple.
but no one has done that. If that's the way we're gonna do it, fine. I'm not against it, but until that was done, that's not,
But you just can't say, okay.
well, you can't just say that
This
X,
all,
Y, and Z are on the committee.
this all comes back to communication between the committee and the Toxa board, which has been the problem, I think, for the majority of this. We have no idea what's going on, and all we're getting is comments from people, other people telling us, well, they're not doing this, or they're doing this, and, just in one set, when Ed and I went through these last letters, a letter going out that was generated by Jack and Linda should not go out, because Lisa knew the story behind that. And for us to take over or go in on our own and take pictures of these homes and put out violations, when we don't know the background. And we have many homes in Timber Oaks that are under the same thing that we know about, that we don't do. If they've already been fined and it's at 5,000, there's not much we can do beyond that.
Eileen?
I think that we need, if you're gonna replace people on the committee, I think we need to be notified who the replacement is.
Okay.
So then we always know.
Communication.
Well, the
Who's on the
communication
committee?
is now open. You will be so sick of hearing from the committee, oh, not her again. We told her to communicate, tell her, shut up. Because I will communicate every jot and tittle. I can
No,
tell
I'm
you
just
that right
saying,
now.
that would be a better way.
And if I need to call you personally
No,
to
you don't
inform you,
have to
I mean, we had a nice, an hour and a half conversation. That was wonderful. That's fine. I enjoy that.
No, I think you could just let
You
the
got it.
office know.
Okay.
You don't
Karen,
have
did
to-
you have something you wanted to
Yeah,
say?
I was wondering, it's kind of been said, but how many voted in committee people do you have now currently, other than yourself? Nobody?
No, we have, the new term starts, is it April 7th?
Yes.
We had 4. We had Jennifer, myself, Tina, and Eric.
So you'll have,
Excuse me. I'm sorry, what was your question?
so you'll have
We had 4.
3, okay, so you'll have 3, and because you didn't have enough to fill up the 6, you will have 3?
No. When, for the 20, 23, 24.
I don't
term,
care about those.
The new people, we have
Currently,
6.
do you have a viable committee?
Yes. Yes, we
As of
do.
April 7th.
How many people?
April 7th starts the new session.
And
What
you
I'm
have
saying,
your 4,
we have 6 April 7th.
okay.
We had 4
So at
until
that-
Jennifer resigned.
Okay, so at that time on April 7th,
Uh-huh.
you will have your 6 committee members?
Yes.
Okay, now, you don't want to be treated like a stepchild.
Uh-huh.
Why don't you be treated like the rest of our community and let our office do the violations? That way it's all coming from one source. You can't pick and choose. I know you don't want to be the stepchild, but don't pull back some of the stepchild benefits. I mean,
According to the
me-
lawsuit, we have a committee that needs to be in place. That's part of our
But
settlement.
With that lawsuit,
Settlement, yeah.
you kind of fell apart there in the middle, and now that you didn't have viable committee.
Who? When? We had 4, but Jennifer resigned, and that made us go down to 3 for 2 weeks
Okay.
at the
okay,
very end of the process.
Okay, well, let me just this is.
I don't know who you are.
My name's Karen Lucille, I live in Oak Forest,
Okay.
and not to be rude, but is there any way that our community could post addresses? Because I know I've got where I don't even like to drive through Driftwood, it's so sad, but is there any way to get addresses posted that say they're being worked on or they're being whatever, so you don't continue to report them?
No,
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 okay,
that's-
it's illegal?
no.
Let's move on, okay?
Okay.
Ted, I wanted to address what you said, LeMay. Darlene did invite Lisa down to review those letters prior to the going.
Okay.
So like
Was
you
that
guys
before?
reviewed the rest of them, we invited Lisa to come down.
I was
and
at
review
work.
those.
I can't make it during the day. So to
Okay,
read,
I
to
just
do
want
the
to-
she sent them to me, I looked at
I'd like a point of clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer's not on the committee, Jennifer is on the committee, which is,
She is
them.
not.
Jennifer was on the
or
committee,
She
according,
is. She didn't, she resigned.
wait a
as the
minute, I'm
director.
asking her. a question.
on May 16th, 2024, Jennifer told me when our exchange, that she had to remind me that she was on the committee. It wasn't until she resigned that the committee went from 4 to 3. At that point, we didn't have an opportunity to get anyone to fill the space. I didn't know I had to. I thought that she resigned at the end of her term. That wouldn't nullify the committee until she was officially off the board.
Did she resign from the committee or only from the board?
I don't know that.
She only resigned from the board.
So then
the
that
committee's
meant-
viable.
Thank you.
Well,
No,
it's,
I don't
no,
think so.
Why not?
On account of her position is strictly Driftwood on our board. When she quit the board,
she
that
did not,
nullified everything.
there were 2
Because-
But she could
elections.
still be on the Wait a committee.
No, I don't think so.
So she was only on the committee because she was the Driftwood director.
Right.
No,
Was
she
she on
ran for the,
She ran for the,
she
Committee?
ran for the committee and she ran for the board. She was elected to both the committee and the board.
Okay.
I didn't see anything on the
Where did
ballot
that-
saying
yeah, where did
anything
that
about the
happen?
committee.
That happened last year. When she ran for the board, she also ran for the committee. When she resigned, her resignation letter resigned as the Driftwood director. She did not resign from the committee.
then the committee's viable.
The committee technically, until we just said now that they can appoint members, the committee was not viable. Last year on the ballot for the committee was Lisa, you were on it, Lisa and Jennifer were the only 2 on the committee.
Tina and Eric
Were not on. the-
Yes, they were, and they rolled over every
You
year.
can't roll over.
You rolled over, why can't we roll over?
It's a 1-year appointment because this is 1 year. It's annual. I'm not making this up,
Do you
Lisa.
know how hard it is to get people to volunteer and go through this BS? Do you think people wanna go through this? I'm a glutton for punishment.
We are as board members too.
Well, I mean, we're holding a piece of paper, and yet we look around and there've been 905 violations resolved. Doesn't that mean anything to you?
Never mind. I said, we appreciate the violations that you have done.
So you've done-
You've done a good job with doing violations. All we're doing is trying to get it so that it works the way that it's supposed to. I agree, it's horrible that this did not have a way to replace members of the committee. But it was set that it's a 1-year term. So that somebody has to fill out a silly piece of paper each year. And when they fill out that silly piece of
The
paper,
letter of intent you're talking about?
the letter
The
of
letter of intent
intent.
has been filled out and is
For
on
this-
file. For everyone, every year.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
Excuse me, Debbie, do you know if the
I have
letter,
to go confirm.
I have
I don't
copies
have
of
it on, I'd have to go
Every
look.
year, we're notified by the office that we need to send a letter of intent, and we have done that. Tina and her husband did that. I did that. I don't know about Jennifer. She's, I don't know.
Jennifer did it
So maybe that
last
was
year,
part of her deal.
but,
But it was done.
but Tina and her husband did not
Yes,
submit
they
letters.
did. I can prove it.
I
We
think
can
we need
check
to
that out
drop
there.
this. That is immaterial. We're fighting over jots and tittles, and it's ridiculous. If you've got 4 members on that committee, it's a viable committee, and that's all there is to it. Jennifer didn't resign from the committee. She's on the committee. That's a viable committee. Does anybody not understand that? Am I speaking out of turn?
Only if Jennifer's on the committee is it.
I hear
Yeah,
you, but
she said she's on the committee. So if she's on the committee, there's no reason to say that the committee is not viable. And when the election comes up in 2 weeks,
She'll have 6.
they'll have 6 people, so it will be viable.
Right.
I think we're just being ridiculous. This is, we want that committee. We want Driftwood to do that and handle that on their own. We don't want a war between Driftwood and the 55+ community.
I lost a day's pay to be here today, so I don't want it either.
And I just don't.
I think there just needs to be more communication between their committee and us, so that we are aware of what is going on and what's being done. I don't think we need to oversee it, as I think that, I believe that they're doing it right. If you get complaints in here about a letter, it should go back to the committee. I mean, it's the same here. If we get complaints about letters that have gone out, we have gone out individually and checked houses and, listened to what's going on. I went out to one house, the driveway was marked, it wasn't that bad. This woman is a widow who is recovering from a hip injury. Compassion, we expect the same from them. We are not just this leading committee that goes in with no regard for our members and puts things in. And for us to go in and cite a house because we think their committee hasn't done it, we don't know the background. We don't know if they've already been cited. We don't know if they've already got a lien against their house, which is why we have the Driftwood Committee. And none of us want to take that on top of what we already deal with in Timber Oaks, which is a much, much larger area. We have enough policing what we have here.
We allow these people to fall into the office and give them another 30 days or another whatever when they have a legitimate reason.
Yes,
We
right.
don't
And it
have
should
to
be
have
that way.
it come to the board necessarily.
It
No.
doesn't come to.
No, it doesn't come to the board. I'm just saying people calling in or asking, or the office says to you, this person is doing this.
We've given Darlene the
Communication.
ability to say, we'll work with you
Yeah.
and whatever.
Right.
Right, and it says right on the letters, give us a call.
When it comes up to dues, we work out payment plans, for people that are on behind on dues as well.
Correct.
And that goes for anyone, If
Right.
somebody is behind in dues in Driftwood, the committee has no idea, and
Right.
is not involved in it.
Right.
They're only involved in this part. But it's, once they've determined that somebody's involved, it should be the same for them as it is for anyone else. It should not, once the letter has been issued, it's in our system. We handle our system the same all the way through. There's nothing wrong with going back if there's a reason behind someone not doing anything, we'll know it, whether through the committee or not.
Right.
And to make the special arrangements that we're not going to go back, that should be done by the same people for everyone. The information needs to come.
If somebody needs 30 days, it should be.
Okay, I want to address this thing. It does not give a way to replace a committee member from Driftwood when they resign. So usually, put my attorney hat on.
Yeah.
Usually in that situation, you go back to the overruling documents, which would be our documents. And we allow, in our documents, if the board member resigns, they can be appointed to replace them
By the board.
by the board. And so in that situation, since that is the ruling overall, if a Driftwood committee member resigns,
They should be allowed to.
give us a name, the board will approve their replacement.
I have one comment that I'd like to make. You said, excuse me?
I was just mumbling,
If
sorry.
you would like to see us blow the socks off the violation number, it would be a lot easier if we had the same tools that Linda has. We don't want to overwhelm the office with excessive violations. Yeah, it takes a chunk out of the office time to do that. If we could send it directly, we would have the ability to send more violations. We could expedite the process by having it go directly, just like Linda's go directly. Why can't ours go directly? Why do we have to have so
I
many
will look
steps?
into getting Lisa a tablet, and getting her trained on it.
I don't think we're overwhelming anybody, right? Because then eventually you have everything up to date and.
Well, if Darlene has to enter each one, from what I understand, that's time consuming, correct? Takes her
Yeah,
away
it's
from other
different.
things.
Yeah,
So,
if you have
yeah,
a tablet,
so look at your tablet.
right.
It's a no-brainer, really.
Right.
No. Just keep doing it.
The tablet gives you the ability to take a photograph, tap a couple of buttons of what the violation is, it automatically produces the letter.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, I like to vote on that.
Let's vote just in case.
I make a motion that we supply a tablet to the violations committee of Driftwood.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
Now, we voted on Sunday, didn't we? What happens with that?
That was already done. That's
You don't
done.
have to do that.
No.
All right, we still need to settle whether or not, I know, Sue says that if complaints come in or questions come into the office, that it should go to us instead of to the Driftwood committee. I think any questions or comments about the letters that are sent by the Driftwood committee should be addressed by them. They know the reasons they went out,
I agree.
and it's not something we need to step into at this point.
Can you repeat yourself? We can't hear what
Yes.
you're talking to.
I said we need to settle something about, I know Susan said she feels that if complaints come into the office about the letter that was sent, that it should go to us or this area. I think it should stay with the Driftwood committee, the violations committee. They know why the violation was put out. They know the history of that property. We do not. For us to get half the information from someone complaining and not include them does not work, in my opinion. So I think that should go back to them. Now, if a letter comes in and said, I've been talking to the committee and this is going on, and they're against the committee, that should be looked at by us. Other than that, violations are their jurisdiction.
Eileen?
Are you saying that, like, if somebody calls up and says, I need 30 days and my wife's in the hospital and I didn't get to fix
Yeah,
this?
that can be part of it.
You want that to go to the committee
If
to
you
make
do.
a decision whether they can get another 30 days?
Yes.
Why shouldn't our girls in the office just say,
Well, I mean,
You can-
Darlene has been doing that
But
for
keeping
us.
us abreast is
Right.
Just
important.
keep it
and
in.
they
mail
need to
them a
know.
copy?
They need to know that.
I mean, it's,
Or someone saying, I don't think my driveway's that bad, or whatever, it goes to them. Why are we listening?
oh,
to
and
it?
that, yeah.
Or saying, I don't have, there's no grass, but I don't have a sprinkler system and it hasn't rained in 2 months or whatever. That goes to them, not us. We're not
That kind of
nitpicking or
complaint, yeah.
over managing that committee.
Question for you. I understand what you're saying. And some of it will go to Darlene and be handled, because she has to put in the system again that there's an extension for 30 days or whatever. So that it has to come to the office somehow.
Right.
Of course.
Well, that's,
But
we're talking
when-
office, not us.
It's not a
It's
big
not
problem, put it on the file. in the
And,
system.
and just,
Yeah, but
just like recently, grass doesn't grow that well in the wintertime.
right.
And so we told Linda, hey, take it easy on the grass violations, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah, but what I'm saying is 90% of the complaints that come in that will be handled by Darlene in the fact that, okay, my husband's in the hospital and all this kind of stuff, can I have another 30 days? Yeah, you can have another 30 days. That's pretty normal, no matter, they're given the phone number to call the office. When there's when they call the office, they give the reasons. We need to have what Lisa might say is a good reason, might not be a good reason. I can't think offhand one that would not be a good reason, because the office is pretty lenient
Yeah,
on
they've been
it.
doing this for so long, they know.
They know what,
People are snowballing us, we know that too. You know,
yeah, I mean, and
Usually.
No,
but it's when you get to some of the complaints about people that wind up actually coming to the board eventually. There are very few, we don't see them, they either don't pay the fine and then it's on their, then you don't get anything back till the house sells, or we go after them for it, which would be the same. And I just don't see why it should go anywhere else, but it comes to the office first. If the office feels they need to go back to the committee, fine.
well, it's all about communication.
Yeah,
And
it's
we know what's
communication.
happening.
you communicate with Darlene all the time, right? So
If
that's
it's
not
a
an
problem,
issue.
yeah, absolutely.
That's not.
Yeah,
So we're good with that.
I noticed coming up here this morning that there's that corner piece of property, where Timber Oaks Avenue and Ponderosa there was some big trees there that were taken down. Someone did an amazing landscaping job. They put in bromeliads, they put in all kinds of, who did that?
That was
There was an accident.
condos.
Yeah, condo,
Condo
Oh,
there's
my.
a volunteer
We
from
can do
the
that at the
condos that does all that
entrances?
work.
How awesome that would be.
Well, that would be up to your, well, each area has their
And that,
own
they
HOA.
did that, they all volunteered, they brought in
I would do that
flowers
in a
from their own
heartbeat.
flower beds.
I would
and-
do that in a heartbeat.
The
It
only
looks
thing is,
amazing.
on Driftwood on the corners, all that property is those homes.
Yeah, they
own
would have
that.
to be maintained
They
by
would-
those homeowners.
You would have to speak with the homeowner to do that, and,
That would be, what a huge improvement. I
Yeah.
drove by and thought, wow, if that was at the entrances of each of, on 52 and Jasmine,
See, and I don't know
How
how that would be
impressive.
handled. It's handled by the Toxa board. It's not handled by a committee anyway. And
so
that,
wouldn't the maintenance department be responsible for that?
I don't know how that works.
the condos do that, and it's the
Yeah.
condos property, so
But they have
they
a board.
have a board that takes care of it.
Right.
If for the homeowner,
Street.
association,
I see what you're saying.
of each of the different villages,
It'd be hard to
It's-
police
it's-
someone to do it, to maintain it.
yeah,
And we spend the money.
Absolutely, no,
You know.
it's an expense.
Right.
A lot of the violations, or many of them that Jack and Linda sent out were in reference to the property between the driveway or the sidewalk and the street. That area is always horrible. It's horrible. I have been complaining about, I live on Pepper Tree, and between my house, there's a pie-shaped lot that they go back to the school. The parents come and they park on that strip. They parked on my property. I had to put landscaping to prevent them from parking on my property. That whole strip looks worse than some of the properties that you reported as being violations on the homeowners. If Tosca can't fix the public for their property, then don't expect the homeowners to fix theirs. I mean, it's all sand. Everyone parks in there. I suggest maybe putting in pavers or something. And if they're gonna park there, they're not gonna tear up,
We
make it
went,
look like that.
this was brought to the Toxa board and we never did come up with a solution for it. They
Well, number
wanted to
one, it's
block
county
it.
property from outside the sidewalk. Number two, we don't have any irrigation there to get any sod or plants established.
Well,
Right,
they
and
came
some
up,
of it is county property and not easement, where county has access to it, but yet it's still part of, because I know when I've owned property in the past, that you own to the middle of the road, but there's an easement there that you have to have for utilities
If
and.
you go to the appraiser's website and you click on it, you will see that the property line
33 feet.
where the county is, the county owns the street,
Okay.
the median to the inside of the sidewalk.
I know part of our solution for that was to put something in that they could not get up and park there, like put a block, some kind of
Well, the
blockade.
parents pick up their kids and
Well, that's
it's kind
it,
of
the safety.
convenient, but
And the safety. of it.
pavers would probably
Oh, you're talking
eliminate
about-
that sand. They could park there if they had to, but they
Do a letter
wouldn't.
to the board and it'll be brought up again and looked at.
Yeah, that's
I'll
ridiculous.
send
They
you a
go and
picture
pick up their
so you
kids in
can
the
see.
school and they block the road, and
There you
you
go.
can't get to the stoplight.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
That's,
Something, it looks terrible. People come around that corner, it's like, oh, and then everyone keeps parking and tearing it up.
I can tell you other developments around here, put those coral rocks in the middle at the intersection so that you can't go over it,
Yeah, up on
because I hit one.
those big rocks are,
You tried
they
to go
do
over
the
it?
job.
I didn't know it was there, I went around the corner, I didn't know it was there.
All right, is there any other business?
Lisa, do you feel there's anything else that needs to be addressed?
No, I feel confident that the board has represented the Driftwood committee and the community, and I'm very pleased to be able to have a tablet to be able to really knock out some violations without
Okay.
putting a burden on anyone.
And thank you for what you do, and I'm glad that we were able to meet and talk about this. I think it should actually be an annual thing to
Absolutely.
just go over and anything that's going
Now,
on.
the two of you are off the board. There's a new board.
New board will come in
April
April.
7th, the
April
same
7th.
Monday.
I look forward to bombarding them with emails and what we're doing. I can take you off my
Thank
list if
you.
that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, motion would be,
adjourn.
okay. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I want to ask her a question.
Oh, Phil and
Yes.
Beth.
How did the Halloween thing go over?
I don't know. I didn't see.
All reports that I have received has been very